So make some kiss while you do.
Dang, Sharon. You know what sucks? That there wasn't any good music past the 90s. That was it. It's over. Goodbye, cool music.
What? Don't be like Ian. We are here today to prove to you that just even in the last 4 years, some killer artists have released some killer music with some even more killer bass lines.
And I'm totally kidding. I begged Sharon to be in this video. I love new music.
Starting off track number 1, Desert Eagle off of Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. Bassist is Marcus Reddick, not Thundercat, as we all believed when it first dropped. Shout out Thundercat for just being amazing and influencing all of these incredible bassists.
That is nasty.
Slap bass.
Will you break down the sound first and then show us how to play it?
Will. So it's I kind of base this off of like a Fly Away Lenny Kravitz sound because it's kind of got a little bit of that in there.
I wish that I could fly into the sky so very high.
Good shout. Yes, it does.
Running just a little bit of an octaver up.
Up?
So there's just a little bit of that note in there, but very low in the level. Then I'm running a booster just to get a little bit more bass and a little bit more grind in there. And then I'm running my favorite HX filter, which is the mystery filter. By the way, I'm using the HX Stomp, as Ian so nicely has promoted everywhere.
I do love the HX Stomp.
Love the HX. And then finally, to top it all off, a phaser.
Yeah, and that's sort of the Thundercat formula, I feel like. Octave up.
It absolutely is.
And then filter, phaser. Yeah, play the line.
It's super cool. It's got a little slide into every note. Essentially, it's... but with octaves, and it's obviously slapped, which is super cool because it's 2024 and we're still doing slap bass. Hey, y'all. And then it goes into a really, really cool double bass section here. Double bass as in 2 basses. And it starts doing like a... but it's actually 2 basses. Go listen to the track. It gets hairy over there. Crazy line.
Very cool. And hey, if you want any of these lines, make sure to check out the link in the description for all the tab and notation. We always put a workbook together that has all this stuff in tab and notation, and sometimes some cool little nuggets about the song or about effects. So make sure you go download that. It's free. It's in the description. Next up is Lunch by Billie Eilish, her brother Phineas on bass. This came out just this year in 2024, and it has an awesome verse bass line. Check this out.
Baby, I think you were made for me. Somebody write down the recipe. Been trying hard not to overeat. You're just so sweet. I wanna shower for you.
I mean, it's such a cool line when it drops down in that verse to just bass, vocal, and drums. Like, check that out. Phineas, I think, probably playing what sounds like a short scale situation, maybe with flats, but through some kind of amp emulation or real amp. Like, let's just hear it on its own once.
And I'm putting up my hair. Baby, I think
with a pick.
for me. Somebody write
a little bit of saturation.
Been trying hard not to overeat. You're just so sweet.
Ugh.
Ooh, the slides.
Simple, but so good. I know, yeah, the slides are so cool in it, right? I'm playing with a pick. I'm using the neck pickup on this bass. I have a little bit of amp emulation. I have just a tiny bit of drive. And then I don't know if Phineas is doing this, but I just have the tiniest bit of like room reverb. It just sounds like it sort of puts the sound in a space. Slides. Remember, we got that tab and notation below for you.
This might be one of my favorite tracks in this video. I did not expect it to be one of my favorite tracks in this video, but I started learning it, and it is just so satisfying to play. Anything for Love by Dua Lipa, also released this year, 2024. Dan L. Harley on bass. There's a good chance it's a little mix of synth bass and bass guitar, but for the sake of this video, we're just doing a bass guitar.
so scared of forever, and no one promises always. We're not perfect together. That means we gotta part ways. Remember when we used to do anything for love?
Get it, Sharon. Oh, hey, you sound so good on that. Something like the one E and a two E, that thing, bomb, don't go. Like that's hard to pocket, and you're crushing it. I just want to say
Thank you so much. It feels so good to play. It feels so fun to play. So let me show you how to do it.
Please.
Most of the bass line is super simple, except for that little there, just to get it, nail it in the pocket. But it's really just G, 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 octave, G, 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 octave. And make sure to keep that last note really short and tight and get some, just not quite pluck it, but like a little bit more.
Yeah, you're like accenting it and it's almost snapping. Yeah.
And then there's these sick fills. They're not really fills because he keeps doing the same ones over and over, but they're just speedy and clean. So satisfying, so underrated. I don't think anyone knows there's bass on this track because it only starts like 1 minute in.
I didn't know. Yeah. And I just have to say too, like the Ian Kirkpatrick production thing, he values bass so much. Like he brought us Don't Start Now, which I think is like one of the coolest bass lines and bass sounds, even though it was like a plug-in bass, right?
Yeah.
But it's so good. I did a video on that one in the Greatest Bass Line Ever series for SBL, but I just love how he prioritizes a great bass line, beat, and vocal. It's like, it might be all you need.
Right. Hit song in the making.
Yes.
Her album is riddled with live bass, sick sounds, and just utilizing bass to its fullest in 2024. So thank you, Dua Lipa.
Up next, off of 2021's An Evening with Silk Sonic, the supergroup featuring Anderson .Paak, Bruno Mars, and this is Demile, the producer, on the bass. This is an amazing tune. Kind of reminds me of my favorite 90s band, Cake. This is Fly As Me. So short, punchy notes are the name of the game here, right? We're in E minor. We're going to play this. Then we hang out on the D. I mean, and that song just keeps going. There's so many tasty moments of bass line, of little fills, but it's all about that intention around note length and kind of vintage tone. I'm just using neck pickup on this, a little bit of amp emulation, and just trying to keep those articulations nice and short.
And hey, remember, if you want to see all of those articulations on paper, see exactly how Ian did it, see exactly how Demile did it, get that workbook down below in the description. Next up, Everything's Beautiful by Hiatus, Kaiyote, Australian jazz, funk, pop, indie band. This too was released in 2024. Clearly a great year for music. On bass, the incredible Paul Bender. We don't talk about him enough on this channel, so here we go. Paul Bender, let's do this.
Come on, Sharon. I love it. Oh, it's so cool.
Good.
Yeah, it's funky.
My favorite bit in this, I have two favorite bits, but the first one I'm going to talk about is how he goes together with that vocal on the end there.
Yes.
And happens twice, and it's so satisfying. It's kind of going all over the place for a little bit, and he's doing his thing, and then they just kind of go together, and it just, oh, it's so beautiful. And then the second one I want to talk about is this cool little slide up that he does, and the articulation is insane. Of course, you could just play it, but he plays it with a little skip.
Ooh,
and it just
makes the notes shorter?
But just the one note, and it just feels so different. I don't know if I'm imagining things, but when I heard that, I was just like, oh man, I have to get it. Everything else is long, and just that one note just picks up for a second, just kind of like doing like a...
Yeah.
And it's almost like everything breaks, but it doesn't. It just makes it feel like everything breaks.
Ooh, wow, God, good. Next up from 2019, I know it's a year before our rules, but we had to put it in. I remember when this song came out. This is Lizzo, Juice, with the great Ricky Reed playing synth bass. Check this bass line out.
Ain't my fault that I'm out here getting loose. Gotta blame it on the boots. Gotta blame it on my juice, baby. Ain't my fault that I'm out here making news. I'm the put it in the proofs. Gotta blame it on my juice.
I couldn't help myself.
Blame it on my juice. Blame it on my juice.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You are nice to me, and I appreciate
That was
you.
insane. Are you kidding me?
I'm just using a fuzz and a little bit of chorus. In the HX Stomp, this is Bronze Master, which has kind of like a cool octave up, almost synthy sound just by itself, like the fuzz without the chorus. And what I do with fuzz is when I'm trying to emulate a synth sound is I turn the gain almost all the way down, right? The typical fuzz sound is something more kind of,
Crunchy. Yeah.
and we're kind of used to that. But
Right.
check this out. If I turn that fuzz, like the drive, almost all the way off, we almost have this like more kind of understated, punchy synth
Almost like
sound.
a filter. Just
Yeah.
barely, yeah.
Yeah. And then I turn on a little bit of chorus for modulation. And then I love this. Like at the end of the choruses. I just think that learning how to play synth bass on your electric bass is so cool because they're parallel universes, right? There's like the key bass thing is so different than the electric bass thing, but they both provide bass. And so to kind of take the key bass approach, put it on your instrument, yields you making some sounds and playing some techniques that you maybe wouldn't play if you were just sort of playing with a regular electric bass sound and approach.
In my bones, Jacob Collier, but to make matters worse, it's not just Jacob Collier, because that would be bad enough. It's also Mono Neon on bass.
Oh, good luck, Sharon.
There's a pressing question on your lips, on your hips, on your lips. You got some kind of question. Like you got something to say. It's a question I could answer with some kiss. What I do.
Absolutely. You have to break it down. What is happening even
I don't
in
know
that
if I
thing?
can break it down because I don't understand what's happening. But I can slow it down for you.
Okay,
But first of all,
excellent.
I heavily recommend that you check out this entire track because this is just but a sliver
Yeah.
of what Jacob and Mono Neon came up with in this track. And it's just so tasteful and just pure genius. So it starts off with this fairly simple slap comparatively. And it's just like eighth notes. So it starts off on a low E. You could take it open, but it's going really fast. So I did it with a slide. Super jazzy. A lot of finger acrobatics going on here. I'm using the back of my finger here, and then the same thing again with my index, and then again.
Oh, sure. Because it's all
And then
fourths, ascending
Right, it's
fourths.
just fourths and using all of your finger to get those. Then I realized there's an even cooler part right after that, but it's a lot shorter, but he does do like a hint of a double stop, which is why I want to talk about it. It's not a full double stop. But just for a second, he hangs on to both notes there, and it's so smooth.
Yes. Ooh.
Incredible.
Hey, and if you want to check out all of what Sharon played on this, it is, of course, in the link in the description below, tab and notation. Go grab it. Next up is BTS from 2020, the song Dynamite, with producer David Stewart rocking a super cool syncopated synth bass part.
Shoes on, get up in the mood, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kink out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone.
Sound.
Sing song when I'm
Hear it?
walking home, jump up to the top of LeBron.
Synth bass,
Call me on my phone, nice tea, and
but with octave.
This is dead heavy, can't hit a bass, boom, I'm ready. Life is sweet as honey, yeah, this beat shade like money. This alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go, I'm diamond, you know I glow up. Hey, let's go.
Oh, I just want to keep going. I'm the guy at the wedding gig that's like, oh, have you heard Butter, though, by BTS? Like, I love pop music so much. So these sounds don't stress me out. They don't intimidate me. I love them. And I'm just like, well, what are the tools that I have at my disposal to play them? And I'm not great on keys, and that's a whole different world that I just haven't gotten into. So I'm taking my bass, I'm turning on an octave pedal, putting on the chorus, right? And playing this line. And it's just a blast, again, to put yourself in that headspace, to play synth bass lines on your electric bass. And yes, you have to make some modifications. And yes, as it goes, other synth parts enter, big low, like 808 bass happens.
Yeah.
But if you kind of go in and figure out that first part, it will make learning the rest of that tune way more simple if you have to play it on your gig.
Did we convince you that the last 4 years have not in fact been completely musically dead? Let us know down in the comments, and also let us know whether we missed anything. I am obsessed with this song. Pun very much intended, because the song name is Obsessed by the great Olivia Rodrigo, released in 2024, again this year. So many great tracks.
Yes.
Bassist on the track is producer Dan Nigro.
If I told you how much I think about her, you'd think I was
The Fuzz Jazz.
And if you knew how much I looked at her pictures, you would think we're best friends. 'Cause I know her star shine, I know her blood type. I've seen every movie she's been in, oh God, she's beautiful. I know you love her, and I know I'm butthurt, but I can't help it. No, I can't help it.
Ah, dang.
There's like that click that comes from the pick that really just drives it home, and it's like, ah.
Yes.
I didn't want to use like a fuzz, so I'm just using a drive, and I tweaked it a little bit, and I brought the gain up because it wasn't giving me exactly what I wanted. I tweaked it not a little bit, I tweaked it a lot
Yeah.
to give me this
Yeah,
sound.
that
It's like-
saturated thing.
yeah.
Oh, it sounds great.
I just love her general vibe. She's kind of bringing back that like old, almost 90s, 2000s like grunge rock thing, and she's
Yes.
bringing it back, and she's educating the children of today, and I'm so happy.
Now you sound like the curmudgeon, which I love. I'm going to pass the curmudgeon hat over to you, young lady.
Thank
You
you.
may be now.
Oh, thank you.
Next up is Flowers by Miley Cyrus, 2023. Now, this bass line is so great, and it is absolutely a bass guitar played by Kid Harpoon, who's an incredible producer, multi-instrumentalist, also worked with Harry Styles. Little saturated bass sound on this, some cool variations in the chorus. Let's check it out.
I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, say things you don't understand. I can take myself
That's such a sick bass line. And look,
Such
I've
a
heard this
vibe.
on the radio 8,000 times.
Yeah.
And I never get tired of this line. Like, it's so cool. So, sounds like it's played with a pick. And we're using some triads here. This is kind of like a harmonically dense line. Starts out with that A minor triad down to G. And that is tricky. Instead of, it doesn't do the
Yeah.
triad off the G, right? Then this. And that moment right there where you hear this, you kind of hear this like slide or sound. And I was like, what is happening? And I had always been playing it here. And for a while, I thought, oh, maybe that's some kind of flanger and there might be some modulation on it. But I just think it's this, right? Just the articulation. It's kind of a signature sound of the line. And then, the next time he plays, but it's almost with like an octave sound. So there's something going on there. Like you have, or either played with a synth bass or something, but it's just full of cool little embellishments. And yes, of course, the whole thing, that entire chorus is transcribed for you in that workbook. So if you play this song or you want to, which I really recommend you do, definitely grab that workbook with the tab and notation and it'll sort you out.
If you enjoyed watching us pass this curmudgeon hat around, make sure to give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. What is going on with your sound?
What's going on with that sound?
Jerry wants to know what
Jerry's
is going
into
on
it.
with your sound and how she can apply it to her squeaker and get that crunch.